Hello everybody, it's Dr. Drake 63 here today. In my hands you see a Remington 783 270 Winchester hunting rifle. I'm going to talk about my favorite calibers today for hunting, both in the field, my favorite hunting calibers for in the bush, usually talking deer, my favorite shotgun caliber, as well as my favorite military calibers to shoot for fun. I hope you enjoy this. I'll give you as much good information as I can. Thank you. First up, we have the long distance hunting category, or what I like to call field hunting for deer. This would involve situations where you are out, have a 200, 300, maybe 400 yard deer shot. What we have in front of us, first of all, the granddaddy of all of the hunting cartridges, the 30-06. This particular one is 165 grains. These are great cartridges. The first deer rifle I ever owned was in 30-06. I'm going to tell you, when I tell you what I like about the 270 Winchester, you'll understand that there's nothing not to like about this caliber at all. It has a lot of historical significance. Was the main battle rifle cartridge in World War I and World War II for the United States Army. And it's one heck of a powerful round. You can shoot out to 900 or 1,000 yards with this. Getting into the world of flat shooting, high power, long range. This right here is the 7mm Remington Magnum, or 7mm Rem Mag. This one's easy to identify by this band you see at the bottom. At some point they thought this might become machine gun ammo, so they put a little band right here on the base so that these things could be belt fed easier. I don't think a lot of that ever really happened, but the band stayed on the cartridge. I had one of these. I had a Ruger 77 Hawkeye that was in 7mm Rem Mag and a wood stock, and it was about the most painful shooting experience I've ever seen. Great cartridge. A lot of people like to use those for elk. My father-in-law turned me on to 270 Winchester. This particular deviant of the 30-03 casing, as is its cousin, the 30-06, has a 6.8 millimeter projectile, or .270s, developed by the Winchester Company in the mid-20s. What's great about this reminds me of an AR bullet with balls. And what I mean by that is the trajectory of this thing is very flat. You aim a little bit high at 50, and you're going to be dead on at 200, an inch high at 100, that kind of thing. So there's not a lot of need to do a lot of thinking. Just aim, hold, and shoot with this one. There really isn't bullet drop at the ranges that I'm going to shoot at. So based on that, my favorite caliber for hunting over a long range is the 270 Winchester. It's going to take down any size deer that I'm going to encounter in North America. If I do get an elk tag at some point and seen an elk, shot placement always counts, but this is more than adequate for an elk as well. We'll briefly take a look at the gun that I used to shoot this with. It's my homemade camo job. That's a rattle can job using Krylon. This is a Remington 783. I bought these the year they came out in 2013. The reason that I bought this gun was I wanted to have a backup rifle for my big heavy Remington 700 ADL. Also, if somebody wanted to join a hunting party or somebody needed to fly in and meet us or something like that, we would want to have an extra rifle. What this is a best of all worlds budget gun. It incorporates the locking barrel nut system. It's a great idea that they basically borrowed from Savage. It's got the old Marlin XLT two-stage trigger, which is great. And this thing is accurate as can be. Okay, you're looking at, between the scope and the rifle, you're looking at less than $500 worth of rifle. And this is a sub-MOA shooter. And pretty durable. I've had this in the field for several years now, fell down and rolled down a hill with it once. held 0. Good guns. I also mentioned that for the brush or tree stand category, also like in a different caliber, here you can see the 3030. It's been around forever. This is a Remington soft point core locked. I've had good luck with these. Also very good luck and better accuracy with the Hornady Revolution, which have a fiber tip there. But you can see, stacking it up next to the 270 Winchester, it's more like an intermediate case cartridge. It doesn't have that full-length 30-03 casing that we were just looking at. More deer have been taken with this round, I have been told, than any other round in the history of deer hunting in the United States. When you look at these two rounds next to each other, obviously you're not going to have the same kind of range with the 30-30 that you are with the 270. There just isn't anywhere near the same amount of propellant. It's shot out of a longer barrel gun as well, but what you are going to see at inside 150 yards, this is just going to get the job done every time. It's a great bullet. Speaking of the 30-30, this is the Marlin 336. This is a pre-Remington acquisition. This is in beautiful condition. Walnut stock, which is almost looks like it's painted. But it's in beautiful shape. It has been banged around. It has been up and down tree stands. One of my sons is a big tree stand guy. I am not. And it's just in beautiful shape. Great hunting rifle. Marlin 30-30. It's hard to talk calibers and hunting and things of that nature without talking about the 12 gauge shotgun. Now I've got a lot of different variations of a 12 gauge shell. This happens to be buckshot. Obviously you could go all over the board. We love to use these for bird hunting primarily. There are areas of our state that require a slug for shooting deer. I tend to stay away from those areas. I prefer rifle shooting. But anything under the sun. In fact, if you had to have one gun, if you could only pick one gun to handle all your needs out of everything you could possibly need, hunting, self-defense, personal defense, whatever you call it, what would it be? Probably 12 gauge shotgun if you really come down to it. What you see here, besides my co-host, is a CZ, which is Czechoslovakian company, CZ 712 auto loader. Had this a couple of years now. Taken a few pheasants with it. Claims to be able to do well with the 3-inch shells. I find that if you're going to have a jam, it's going to be with a 3-inch shell on this gun. But reliable as heck with 2 3/4, and that's fine enough for upland game. I'd had a number of their pistols and heard great things about their shotguns. Thought I'd give them a try. And you know, this thing's going to stand up pretty similar quality and reliability, I'd guess, to like a Remington 1100. It's a nice shotgun. It does what it's supposed to, and like all semi-auto loaders, you keep them clean, they're going to work great for you. Right, Chloe? Yeah, she doesn't care. Pictured on your left is a originally former Soviet 5.45 by 39 cartridge. Stuff is referred to as 7N6, and it's very nasty and it tumbles like crazy, and they used to call it the poison bullet in Afghanistan. Looking on your right, you have the venerable 5.56, known in America also as the 223 or the AR round. So you can see they're both shorter case rounds. You're looking at 39 millimeters on your left. You're looking at 45 on your right. Both rounds are going to go somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,900 to 3,200 feet per second. And they can do some really nasty stuff. Without a doubt, and it's not even close for me, my favorite military round to shoot is the 5.45 by 39. Dog doesn't agree. She's more of a 7.62 girl. The reason I like this round so much is multiple fold. You can still get a lot of it cheap. 7N6 is dried up, but there's still a lot of other versions out there that just aren't that expensive, and it's pretty close to what you're looking at for 7.62 by 39 in a lot of cases. I love the long distance accuracy that this round has. I also love the fact that it has such an aerodynamic, spiky look to it. I've seen plenty of footage of these AKM-74s in action. Just the way those things sound when they're going full auto is incredible. So I just think that they're a great round. I think they're kind of like the antithesis of where combat has come. And let's face it, rifles are not for blowing up cars. They're not for blowing up helicopters or anything like that. They're for causing injuries, fatalities to opposite number troops. And this round certainly does that. But I'm not going to use it for that. So I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of what's a great looking gun. I'm looking at it from the standpoint of what's relatively cheap to shoot. And then finally, what's the most fun to shoot? And for me, sorry, this guy wins. This guy wins every time. Anyway, that's my take on that. Should it come as any surprise that my favorite military round to shoot also happens to come from my favorite rifle to shoot? Yes, the venerable Arsenal SLR 104. I've got a detailed breakdown video I've got coming up for that here in the next few weeks as we approach 1 year and many rounds with this. Honorable mention needs to go to another intermediate round. This one right here, the 300 Blackout ACC. This one was specially developed to shoot from a short-barreled rifle, and its 30 caliber ballistics are very comparable to what you see with a 7.62 by 39 out of a longer barrel. Great round. I think we're going to see more of this in the future. Honorable mention, still 5.45 king for me. When it comes to calibers, obviously everything is a preference thing. And the types of things that go into your decision has to include price, has to include availability, things like that. So there's guys that like to go out and get really bizarre wildcat calibers, and most of them are reloaders, and that makes a lot of sense. So obviously I'm kind of talking mainstream for purposes of this discussion. But the calibers I chose by no means are, am I saying, hey, you got to shoot this and nothing else? I'm talking about my own personal preferences. And I'll say this, most cases, the best ammo is the stuff somebody gives you for free. So if somebody wants to send a lot of 5.56 my way, I'll be happy to shoot the heck out of it. But that's really not what we're talking about today. So please, if you get the time, leave your comments. I'd really like to know what you use for deer hunting specifically, and avoid caliber wars. And let's just remember, we're all shooters here, and nobody is a complete